Welcome back, epic learners. Today we will explore what are the pre-writing skills that will help children enjoy writing despite any age. It's beautifully explained in Anthroposophy by Rudolf Steiner, where the physical body needs almost 7 years to come to a proportion. In other words, for the children to be able to develop the fine skills of holding the pencil in their fingers, to get the good grip, and to be able to print properly on a piece of paper, which is what we assess, it takes about 7 years. However, in the present system, we begin writing early. The minute children get into their nursery classes at about 2.5, 3 years of age, mm, they begin to write. Of course, scribbling is important, doodling is important, and they can do it. However, when we ask children to write in a 4-line book with a specific preciseness, the children fail. And it's very obvious that I have failed to the child because it's on the paper, and unfortunately it gets corrected by the teacher. When I worked with children in school, I see a lot of red marks circled, and why in the sane of my mind I would want to go back and look at every red mark and correct it. I mean, that's so not motivating for me to be correcting my own mistakes. And that begins very early when the child does not have an understanding that I need to correct my mistakes to get better. So somewhere, again, the mind talk would be more like, it's not my handwriting, I am bad. It's not my handwriting is bad, but I am bad. It's not my strokes are not right, I am not right, is some sort of a feeling that the child develops about self, and then begins the self-sabotage. What can we do? Best way is to do the pre-writing skills. Write with your whole body, write with your full arm in the air, write with your foot, write with your face. Just get those strokes right in your body. It's like cellular memory. Get it right. And this is fun. These are movements. Children will enjoy these, and teachers don't have to correct them. And we don't need to practice a whole page of writing to get a good handwriting, right? We just do it once and we write it beautifully. We are done. And typically, if you observe, especially when you give a page of handwriting, first few lines are good, then the handwriting gets worse and keeps getting worse, and the last line of that page will be much worse than the first line, which should be the other way around when we give copywriting to children. So we begin early on from nursery with a lot of pre-writing activities where children move around their arms, their bodies, walk around the letters, the strokes, the alphabets, the letters, and get an idea as to how the line should flow to form this letter A, for example, right? And with that, they could write with a stick on the ground, on any erasable medium, basically. Dip your finger in a bowl of water and write on the floor, or even use slates with chalks. That will do wonders because it's an erasable medium. So if I do a mistake, I just erase it myself. I don't even have to think twice. And even if teacher corrected it, if my mother corrected it, I can just erase it off and start all over. That's such a beautiful thing for understanding of a child, that I can start over, I can be better, I can be different, I can experiment, I can explore. That gives so much of a confidence to the child versus it is set in stone. When I write a book, it's marked, and then I go forward. There's no inclination to correct it, and I go forward, and end of the year, if I flip my pages back, I see many marks, which kind of give me that feeling that I'm not good enough, I cannot write well enough. And once that sets in really strong, that's when children refuse to print it on a paper where they may be evaluated, where they may be assessed, where it may be marked, and they may be asked to redo it, erase and rewrite, which is such a painful process for anyone, definitely for me. I mean, I would rather do it and be done with it and don't go back and look at it. But which is not a great way to do it anyway. But I can do so if for the very first time I do it right. So with that in mind, we do lots of practice exercises with children with pre-writing. Eventually give them a large newspaper with a jumbo crayon for them to scribble and form, and in that scribble we hunt for these letters and highlight them, and just to make it fun. And then we bring it down to a quarter of a newspaper size, then an A4 size, and finally a quarter of an A4 size paper, then down to 1 inch wide lines, and finally to those 4 lines in half an inch space. By then children would have had enough and more practice of getting grips on the writing material, getting grips on the movements, getting the stroke right. So when they write it much more beautifully and with a lot of interest in order to present their ideas. Try it and let me know if that works for you, and it definitely will work for children. That's my experience.